So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Project 1. There's, again, 3 lessons. Number 3 is integer operations, number 4 is one-step solutions, and number 5 is velocity formula. So let's look at the first one, number 3. So it says Ryan has a credit card with the balance of negative $628. He fills up his tank of gas for $45. Then he decides to pay $560 of the balance. What is the balance of the Ryan's card now? So he's starting out with negative $628. Now, when he is filling up his tank, is he using that money? Is he paying for that money? Or is he getting money in? Or is he earning money? Yeah, he's using that money. So he's going to need to subtract 45. Now think about this, though. Remember that it's a negative, and you're making it more negative. So he's going to owe even more. So we're actually going to add these two numbers. So we're going to go 628 plus 45, and then we're going to make our answer negative. So when we add that, we get a 3 here, 6, 7, and then 6. So 673. So that's how much money he owes. Okay, Ryan owes. Now he decides to pay 560 of it. So now he's paying into that balance. So is that making it more negative, or is that making it positive? Yeah, it's going to make it positive. So he's going to really, it's negative 628 plus 560, which is actually like subtracting. Okay, so we're really going to just subtract our numbers. So we're going to get a 3 here, a 1 here, and a 1 here. So does he have positive 113 or negative $113 that he still owes? Yeah, negative. And so that would be his balance, because there's the larger number is negative. So that would be your answer. So really on this type of problem, make sure you combine the negatives, which will be like adding them, and then keep it negative, and then subtract whatever they pay into it. Let's go to the second one. Erin has a $45 in her account, but she buys jeans for $57. What is the balance of her account now? Okay, so what do you think we do with 45 and 57? Are we going to add or subtract those two numbers? She has $45 in her account, but she buys something. So that's going to be subtract. So we're going to minus 57. Okay, really that's like 57 minus 45. And then we subtract, and we get 12. So is this going to be 12, negative 12, or positive $12? If she spent more than she has. Yeah, it's going to be negative. So in this case, you're going to get both integer answers, and that's where you hear integer. That's negative and positive numbers. So like, you know, all the negative numbers and all the positive numbers. So usually integers you see are negative numbers. So that's why your answer is negative 12. Okay, so that's it for the first part. Now let's look at lesson 4. This time it says solve for x. So this is more solving one-step equations. So we want to solve for our missing variable. Okay, and we want to isolate. Whenever we solve for a variable, you want to isolate the variable, meaning get that variable by itself. So whatever is on the same side of the equal sign as the variable, we want to move that over. So in this case, you can see that 143 is. So I'm first going to subtract 143. But if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. Okay, now I'm subtracting these to get what this would be. Now this is going to be a 0, Okay, we're going to have to borrow 1 from this, make it a 1. And then 12 minus 4, that's going to be 8. So it looks like 80. Now, when we rewrite this, remember, we're bringing this down. We're going to have an equal sign here. This also comes with the x, so it says negative x equals 80. Now think about this. Do we want a negative x? No, we want a positive x. So what we have to do is we have to get rid of the negative sign. There's two ways you can do this. One, you can divide by -1 or multiply by -1. I'm just going to divide by -1 because when I divide a negative by a negative, it turns out to be a positive. So those things cancel out. But when I divide a positive by a negative, basically it's just changing the sign of my answer. So my answer is going to be -80. And let's see if that makes sense. If I did 143 minus a -80, okay, equals 223. Well, think about that. When you have two negatives in a row, what does it turn into? A positive. So that's 143 plus 80. That is 223. So that works out. So that's good for that one. Let's look at number 2. They said there's a max number of occupants at Chili's. If a third of the customers are female, then there are 45 females there. How many customers can they serve, or are they serving at this point? So they say 1/3, which is the same as 1/3 or C/3 equals 45. So what they're trying to find is they're trying to find the amount of total customers, okay? So think about it. It says C/3. So we want to get rid of the 3 because that's on the same side of the equal sign as the C. So how we do this is it says C divided by 3. So we do the opposite operation. Just like up here, we subtracted when this was positive. What's the opposite of dividing by 3? Yeah, multiplying by 3. So we're going to multiply by 3. That cancels that out. Then we multiply this by 3. It's probably easier to use a calculator for this one. So we're going to go 45 times 3. And that gives us 135. So we get C equals 135 customers. Oops, I misspelled that. Not costumes, customers. We'll just leave it right there, okay? So that's your answer for that one. Okay? So all you had to do was do the opposite of dividing, which is multiplying. Now in the last one it says, solve for y. If your answer is a fraction, simplify it as much as possible. So this time it says 4y equals 12/7. Okay? So now it says 4y means 4 times y. Okay? So if it means 4 times y, what's the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. So we're going to divide by 4, but we can't just divide by 4 like on this one. It just doesn't work like that. So really, let's rewrite this out here to make it make more sense. Because it's a fraction. If it was just 12, if we did 4 divided by 12, we could say 3. That's easy. But in this case, it's already a fraction. So we're going to say 12/7 divided by, and we're dividing it by 4. Okay, but what can we put that over? 1. We can put any fraction over 1, so, or I mean any whole number over 1. So if it was like 7, you could say 7/1. 10 over 1. Okay, but when you divide, remember the rule. I'm going to say this. Keep, change, flip. What we do is we keep the first one the same. Go 12/7. Oops, this is getting a little low, sorry. 12/7. Okay. Then we're going to change. Oops. Then we're going to change the division to a multiplication. And then finally, we're going to flip this one, meaning we're going to find the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 4 over 1 is 1 over 4. So now we can multiply across and solve. So we go 12 times 1 is 12, and we go 7 times 4 is 28. Now, this would be our answer for y, but there's a problem. They said simplify your fraction. What they mean by simplify is there a number that divides into both 12 and 28? Well, yeah, 4 does. So we're going to divide each number by 4. So when we do that, we end up getting 12 divided by 4 is 3. 28 divided by 4 is 7. So that would be our answer. Your answer for y is going to be 3 over 7. Okay, so remember on this one, do your keep, change, flip. Do your first fraction the same, and then flip your second fraction, multiply across, and then simplify. Okay, one last part. On lesson 5, now they're asking us to solve for a two-step equation, not just a one-step. So when you do a two-step equation, you're going to do the opposite operation again, but first you always want to do your adding and subtracting. The reason why is because if I wanted to do my division first, let's say I wanted to do my division first, I would go divide by 6, I'd have to divide this one by 6, and I'd have to divide this one by 6. Now if you can see, 6 does not go into 4 or 22 evenly. I don't know about you, but I don't like to deal with fractions if I don't have to. So that does not sound like a good plan for me. So what I want to do is I want to move over the 4 first, okay? That'll help me solve for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say plus 4, and remember, opposite signs, this is a negative and a positive. Well, that cancels out. Negative and a positive, we subtract, and we keep the sign of the larger one. So that would be negative 18. 6y equals negative 18. Okay, now, when you look right here, we got to do our last step. And we talked about this kind of before, how we have to do our, when it says 6 times y, we have to do division. So we're going to divide by 6. Divide by 6. And you end up getting y is equal to, well, what's negative 18 divided by 6? Yeah, positive divided by negative is a negative, and 18 divided by 6 is 3. So there you go. Y equals negative 3. Okay, so that's how you solve that one. Now this one, it has a parentheses in between it. And if you remember, that's what's called the distributive property, meaning I have to multiply this 4 by everything inside. So I'm going to go 4 times 3m, and that parentheses just means times, plus 4 times 8. And then obviously that equals 56. Okay? So first we're going to multiply 4 times 3. So what is 4 times 3? Good, 12. And then we just attach the m to it. So we say 12m plus, okay, 4 times 8. That's going to be 32 equals 56. Okay, now we want to move over the 32. It says, remember, we want to do our plus and minus first. So if it says plus 32, I'm going to subtract 32. Subtract 32. Okay, and since we're running out of space here, what I actually want to do is that's going to end up being 4 and 2, so 24. So we're going to say 12m, I'm going to rewrite it over here, equals 24. Okay, now again, my last step, I'm going to do my division. Divide by 12, divide by 12. And so what would m be? You got 24 divided by 12. Good. 2. Okay. Great. We're on our last problem. So now this one, it has two variables this time. But see how they're on the same side of the variable, or on the same side of the equation, because the equation is kind of like a you know, kind of like a wall. Okay, if it's on the same side of the equation, we don't have to do opposite operations. We just want to combine 3x and 5x. So another way we could write it is we could say 3x minus, because that says a minus right there, 5x plus 13. So we're just moving around stuff, but it's really the same equation. I just moved around the 5x and the 3x. So what is 3 minus 5? And then we just attach the x to it. What's 3 minus 5? Yeah, when we combine those two, we end up getting negative 2. X plus 13 equals negative 29. Okay. Now, since we're running out of space, we're going to rewrite this a little bit over to the side. We're going to say again, kind of block this out over here. So we're going to say negative 29 equals negative 2x plus 13. Okay, so I just rewrote it. Now I'm going to do the opposite operation and move over my 13 minus 13 minus 13. Now, this is both negatives, so this is where we actually add it. Okay? Negative 29 plus negative 13, that's going to end up being negative 42 equals negative 2x. Okay? And then finally, our last thing is we divide. So we're going to divide by negative 2. Divide by negative 2. Okay, and negative divided by negative is a positive. So we end up getting our answer of x equals, well, 4 goes into 2 once, or twice, sorry, and 2 goes into 2 once. So your answer is x equals 21. Okay, so use this to help you on your project 1.